The meeting of the Nottaway County Board of Supervisors is now called to order. Let me make a statement that one of our board members is not here. In case of a tie, the motion is defeated. The motion is defeated in case of a tie. Mr. Coburn, will you give us the invocation, please?
I'd be honored. Don't feel worthy, but I'll do my best, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here together today in Nottaway County. Thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon us, and we also thank you for the challenges. We often don't realize it, but the challenges are what makes us stronger. Father, we ask that the decisions made tonight and the dialogue offered tonight are pleasing in your sight. And we ask if you could just give this meeting a spirit of cooperation and working together, tolerance of each other, and pledge to just continue to work to make Nottaway County better. We ask these things in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you, Mr. Coburn.
Thank you.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now have a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda without any amendments. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. We now need approval of the minutes for June the 17th.
So move to approve the minutes from June 17th.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for June the 17th. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. We have delegations from the public now. All delegations are limited to 5 minutes. Okay, I'll start out with Mr. Abbott. Mr. Abbott, will you come forward, please?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Anzavino. The perception of what is accurate, truthful, or reported reliable be in question. I believe that happened last month. I'll suggest that my representative, when she said there was no delay, is what she believed. She may have shared that information with one other. It's possible she may have attempted to honor a request from the former county administrator to keep things quiet. Subsequently, to her, there was no delay. I'm not asking whose responsibility it was to notify other board members. My unanswered question is, why did the former county administrator hire the law firm? Why wasn't that decision questioned by the board when each learned of his actions taken in October? Each person learned of the hiring, yet no question. Didn't any of you wonder why there were 2 county attorneys? Didn't any of you feel it appropriate to know why the former county administrator took such action? Why, what discussion, and with whom was it discussed when the board rectified the hiring? Was that discussion with a representative of the firm hired in October? Last month, the new organizational chart was presented. It outlined significant change. The chart does not have a box for county attorney.
It's been amended.
Thank you, sir. Especially since there had been several different representatives attending the meeting and providing what appears to be limited legal advice, in my opinion. The fees paid for advice last month seemed to be ignored. Who was willing to explain why a paid legal representative is necessary at each and every meeting? Now, each of you know that I've mentioned the school's fiscal year end surplus and made a presentation sharing amounts that existed in June of every year. There was $2.6 million unspent at a point in time in June. After several actions, the ending balance is somewhere between $900,000 and $1 million. The new capital improvement account gets $500,000 of that $2.6 million. The county gets $341,000, and there's an additional $80,000 set aside in the event the need arises to hire a teacher, all from that original $2.6 million. Other funds from that $2.6 million were used to cover purchases previously made that hadn't been paid, and a few items like school buses were also purchased. In the final analysis, with approximately $1 million unspent, added to the $1.2 million provided in excess of local match, or approximately $2.2 million in total, our school district should be able to address a number of concerns without requesting a return of the $341,000. Now, I strongly recommend this board retain that $341,000 and support fire and rescue. Support them with the additional funding, or in the event you don't think that's worthy, some other cause. I mentioned this to this board prior to the school board, although I wanted to share my thoughts and concerns with my school board representative, Mr. Pettis. However, he's been unavailable for a significant period of time. I certainly hope he is doing well. This board may remember the school board's meeting was also moved to July 22nd. So I missed the opportunity to share my thoughts with my District 3 representative if he were in attendance at the school board. On a much more positive note, I believe we should all be thankful and appreciative of the work being accomplished by our interim county administrator. Mr. Anzavino has made positive change, and he does it without fanfare,
Mr. Abbott.
just simple
Your time.
professionalism.
Thank you. Mr. Shute.
Good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for letting me come. I'm John Shute. I'm the
Good evening.
Chief of Berkeley Fire Department. The reason I'm here tonight, they did have a work session this week on the fire study. However, the stakeholders, such as myself, were not allowed to give any opinion of that study. I have a concern that Berkeley Fire Department was not fairly characterized in that study. The representatives came to our department. They spent just less than 1 hour. And the first question that I was asked was how I felt about a single EMS agency in the county. And I said, well, that would be okay, but if you did it, it would close Berkeley Fire Department. And then one of the next questions I was asked was about my volunteer staffing. My volunteer staffing, I told them at the time that I had 2 certified firefighter EMTs that were active. I have a list of 26 people, and I ask everybody the same question now. What determines active, and what determines what level of service that people are providing? There are a considerable portion of my staff that are paid staff. I also have some life members, I have support members, and I have a couple of EMTs. I brought that to the fire study group's attention, and when they put the report out, they had in there that if Berkeley did not get volunteers, it should become a substation of another department. To what point would that be if there were no volunteers? Further, When the study came out, there was no mention that Berkeley was a combination department. It only mentioned the volunteers. And in the presentation the other day, the only thing that was mentioned about Berkeley Fire Department was that it only had 2 active volunteers and the county needed to do something about it. That was an unfair characterization. In 2008, I stood before this board. Mr. Vaughn, you were the chair. And I asked for a partnership between the county and the fire departments and EMS services so that we could work on a strategic plan. I was told that was a town problem, not a county problem. In 2012, we reached a dilemma where we either had to hire people or we had to go out of business. There was no other choice. So we did hire contractors, and we developed a strategic plan that we operate by today. And since 2012, we have increased our staffing. And Berkeley today, we're one of 3 fire-based EMS systems providing ambulance service in the area. We're the only fire department in the county that has 24/7 firefighter EMT staffing. We've been working on a strategic plan in place to meet our funding and staffing needs since 2012. Currently, Berkeley provides 59% of its own funding requirements, with Nottoway County providing 28% of funding, including the state. Berkeley provides 13% of the funding. The staffing, the fire department does increase the service level even though we have less people. By October, we expect to have 2 full-time firefighter EMT staff 24/7. In March, actually the 1st of April, we added a station captain that's in there 5 days a week. Mrs. Shackleton asked about NIFRS data or FIFRS data, which is the Virginia version of it. I brought reports to you tonight for each of you that is from the 1st of the year to it's actually through June 30th. It's dated 7/13. But those reports will help you to understand exactly what Berkeley does. We are here for the sole purpose of serving the community. We're 10 years ahead of you in developing a strategic plan for our emergency services. Our sole purpose is to serve the people, and it's a tough job, and we get a lot of grief. Sometimes people don't understand what we do. Sometimes people spread rumors about what we do. And it's a tough job. We're doing the best we can with it. I know that there are some of you that will thoroughly research this report. I also included for Mr. Anzavino our expenses.
Your time is
Okay,
up.
I understand.
Yeah.
I've never, as I told you before, be patient with me. I've never turned you away.
Right.
And just give me a minute. I included in it.
Mr. Shute, our rule is 5
I
minutes.
understand your rules, sir.
So will you please leave
I'm
the
entitled to my
podium?
First Amendment right, and you cannot challenge me in expressing a grievance for change.
Okay.
Now, I will be done here in less than 2 minutes. I have included in this for you our expense summary for you, Mr. Anzavino. I also included the mutual aid change that I did with Nottoway County so that to ensure that we had fire coverage all the time. And
Mr. Shute, we're going to
I
have
understand, sir.
we're going to have a workshop very soon.
I know you're going to have a workshop. It does no good when you don't include the stakeholders.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Page, will you come forward, please?
Well, that was disappointing. If you guys don't want to listen to your fire chiefs or let them talk to you, you might as well open your own fire department called Nottoway County Fire Rescue. If you're not going to have a fire department, these fire chiefs in the towns should be listed as constitutional officers, and they should be able to stand up here and present to you the state of their firehouse. It shouldn't be cut off. That's something you guys need to handle. I came in here with a totally different mood. I was going to talk to you about something now. That was very disturbing. How many lawyers from Sands Anderson we got here today? 2? No. Are you with Sands Anderson?
No.
Okay, just 1. So $750 to about $1,000 is what the invoices show, is what it's costing us to have an attorney here at every meeting. An attorney that citizens who continue to bring to your attention that they're upset that they were hired in the first place because they believe that they were hired illegally. One's so upset that they reached out to the Nottoway County Commonwealth Attorney, who went to the judge. The judge ordered a special prosecutor. That complaint was me. But I'm not the only citizen who was upset about it. So you guys ask, am I going to be arrested? The complaint was made on the administration. Nobody said it was made on you guys. I've been asked to meet with that prosecutor several times. I was in the middle of suing you guys and the electoral board, and just hadn't been able to get our schedules together. But now that I've had some time, I just want to go over with you. Sands Anderson tells you that you're exempt from hiring legal services. That for legal services, you can hire them. But the law states, under the procurement law that you adopted this year, and not only that, the one that was adopted back in the 90s, it doesn't kind of designate the difference, but professional services, it actually has that it needs competitive negotiation. That was not done here. When you look up what professional services is, the law defines what professional services is. It's right there in the statute. And in it, it lists professions that they consider professional services. One of those is legal. So if legal services require competitive negotiation, why wasn't that done in October? Now, there are 2 exceptions. The law does allow for 2 exceptions. I'm going to tell you what they are. You can hire an attorney without competitive negotiation if there is a pending litigation matter. Pending means active. Ronnie Rourke was not indicted. He was under investigation. There was no other pending legal matters. And not only that, Sands Anderson's invoices from October to March, when you hired them, doesn't say that they're handling pending litigation. There's FOIA stuff on there. There's attending meetings, all these things. That's not pending litigation. The second one, this is important, is if they're going to handle a regulatory issue. Now, the interesting word there is the word A. What does A mean in law? Well, the Supreme Court answered that question about 2 months ago. Big case, all over the news. FCC sends a guy 20 letters saying they're going to fine him. But the law says that they got to send him a letter stating certain words. They never sent to him. FCC challenged it all the way up to the Supreme Court, said we sent him 20 letters. Supreme Court made a big, long ruling, 24 pages long, about what the word A means in law, and it means one single instance. And if you go back and look at their invoices from October, I don't see any regulatory issues that are one single instance that would hire them from October to March. So these are the issues. Now, procurement's not something a citizen can take you to court over. And that's probably why Sands Anderson's saying you're exempt, because somebody from the state has to take the complaint and actually be willing to hold you accountable for it. This does not happen a lot in this state. Sometimes. And this board may get away with it, but I think the best thing to do is schedule a vote and approve those funds that were spent from October to March, and let's move on. Let's do something, because now you guys are following the law. Things are going better. Your meetings are better. FOIA is being followed. I've been quiet. I was going to come here and talk to Steve. Maybe it's good he's not here, because what happened last month was
Mr. Page,
ridiculous.
your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Think about those.
Mrs. Yates?
I'm going to be quiet because I can see you guys have your ears shut down when my ears. I pass.
You don't wish to speak?
No, because your ears are shut, so I'm going to choose not to speak tonight. We'll fall on deaf ears.
Okay. Okay, delegation from the public is now over. Did I miss anyone on the list? Mr. Abbott, Mr. Shute, Mr. Page, and Mrs. Yates? Okay, thank you. We'll now have we'll move into the regular meeting, the budget adjustments.
Public hearing.
Go right on.
Public hearing.
So you have 4 budget adjustments to consider.
In the public hearing?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Okay.
Additions to the fiscal year 22 budget that was adopted. 3 of them are for the school system. One of them is CARES Act revenue for $42,000. Another CARES Act money for $2,724,3608. And then there was additional funds allocated for the school system when the governor's budget was finalized. That's in the amount of $542,575. You also have a 4th one for the county, which is the county's portion of the American Rescue Plan Act, which is $1,479,318.50. And Mr. Chair, that is a public hearing.
Okay. Is there anyone in here to speak for? Is there anyone here to speak for? Is there anyone here to speak against? Is there anyone here to speak against? Okay, the public hearing. Any comments from the board?
No.
Public hearing is now closed. We need a motion to approve the budget adjustments.
Mr. Chair,
Do you want them one by one or all together?
Did he make a motion?
No, he was getting ready to say, so I just asked, did you want them all together?
Yeah, we need a motion to approve
Okay.
this budget adjustment.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the budget adjustments as presented by Assistant County Administrator Katie Tome.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the budget adjustments. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we don't have any presentations, department reports.
Transportation is here.
Say,
Department of Transportation is here.
okay, will you comment on that?
We have a representative from the
Yes.
Virginia Department.
Ms. Bryant? Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr.
Good
Antonino.
evening.
Good evening.
In addition to the report that's in your packet, I wanted to let you all know that the mowing is complete in Nottaway County. I noticed as I was driving in, it looks like we're just about ready for another cycle, and we just finished the last cycle. But it is complete, and if you see any issues or anything like that, please let me know. Route 703 Loveland Road is near completion. We've got 2 shots of the tar and gravel on that road, so that road, it'll be complete by the time I come back to the next meeting. So I know that's been a long time coming, so I'm glad that that one is complete. The traffic study for Melody Lane was completed, and there was no speed reduction recommended. However, there were additional safety signage recommended. So once we get those signs in, they will be installed. There is also a study ongoing for Tyler Road. We had several requests for that. So as soon as that comes back, they normally take 60 to 90 days. We've been pretty short of personnel, but I think they're almost fully staffed again. So we're hoping that 90 days is the max. But that is ongoing. So the contractor has resumed working on Route 460. Right out here, the steel has finally come in, so they have resumed working again. So the only thing most time they have closed is the shoulder. The The Route 618 bridge, the drilled shafts are now complete, so they are working on the abutments and the footers, so that project is on time, set to complete on schedule. The repairs on the Route 606 bridge over 460, that project is also on schedule and scheduled to complete on time. That is all of the additional that I had over your report. Do you have anything for me?
Any questions?
No, sir.
No,
Question
thank you.
for, Lynn?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant.
Okay, the Health Department, I don't see anyone here from the Health Department. Solid Waste. The Planning Commission. We didn't meet.
Planning Commission did not meet this month. They'll be meeting in August, as well as their Solar Study Committee will be meeting in early August.
Okay.
And I would call to the board's attention, the public's attention, that next Tuesday evening, there is public meeting to solicit input on the revised comprehensive plan for the county. We would hope that everyone would come. It's going to be led by the Commonwealth Regional Council staff, who are the consultants to the county.
Okay. It's in your package, the animal control and building inspection, the library board and the school board minutes are in your, but we do need a motion to approve to advertise for a public hearing.
For public hearing for.
For the school system, for for another budget adjustment in fiscal '22.
Okay, so moved. I will move to advertise.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve, we give the school board authorization to advertise for a public hearing. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Constitutional officers. I want to see Mrs. Brown. Sheriff? Okay, thank you. Mrs. Myatt, I don't see her. I don't see Ms. Hudson. Ms. Walters?
Just briefly wanted to update the board, as I have been during COVID. The Supreme Court of Virginia have changed some of their different rules and orders, and so our local chief circuit court judge has advised that we will now be returning to normal jury trials with only the exception of health questionnaires at the front door, temperature checks, but we will no longer be using multiple courtrooms to stream and to have lots of social distancing. So just updating the board that we're not going to be using these courtrooms when we're doing juries in circuit court.
Okay, thank you. Okay, unfinished business. Would you do this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Under unfinished business, the first item is position descriptions for Emergency Management Coordinator, for Director of Economic and Community Development, as well as Fiscal Assistant. These were all positions authorized by the board through the fiscal year 22 budget process or through the reorganization, and there are no additional funds required for the county. These will all fall within the estimates of expenditure that were originally included in the budget. Originally, the board had planned for a half-time, 50% time emergency management coordinator. We brought you that job description at your June meeting, and the board decided that that should be upgraded to a full-time position. So we have adjusted the job description to reflect additional duties. The second description is the Planning Economic Development, or Community Economic Development Director, and it's pretty clear, since I'm serving in that capacity as well as several other capacities, that there is a need for someone to lead the process in economic development, as well as to work with citizens in conjunction with zoning permits, subdivision applications, and to really work with the zoning ordinance in conjunction with violations. I'm spending about 25% of my time now on doing that and not doing much administrative work at all. So the board authorized that position, and it's graded out as according to the in accordance with the board's directive at a grade 25 in the county's pay plan, which has a starting salary of $64,680. Then finally, a fiscal assistant position has been allocated by the board on a 50% time basis. That will be someone who will be doing a great deal of data entry in the finance office. Currently, Ms. Tomer, who was your finance director, currently serves in that capacity and is now assistant county administrator, is manually entering data and spending how much time, Katie, roughly on a percentage basis?
50, 60% of my time.
She's not able to really get into working on procurement, working on other fiscal issues such as analysis of revenues and expenditures, and really helping us beef up the procurement process and get training out to all of our department heads, as well as a number of other things that an assistant county administrator and / finance director should be doing. So this position is factored in at a grade 13, the same level as our E911 clerk, building permit technician, and our data processing / FOIA officer. And I would note that this position will be specialized, but the previous two positions I noted wear different hats, and the titles don't reflect everything that they do, just like your human resources coordinator, who is still doing landfill billing. So you have a very lean staff. The additions of these staff members will allow the county to function better, to take a more proactive stance and looking to the future, and really developing on the part of the planning or community development, economic development director, will allow the county to begin to plant the seed for a more robust, active economic development program, which will provide for, hopefully, over a long term, once you get the program in place, because economic development is not a one-day program. It's a slog. You've got to get your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
You've got to work hard at it. You've got to establish your reputation. This position should be able to do that as described in the job description. So this will help the county continue to move forward as the board has directed, and we have included 3 motions for the board's consideration based upon what you previously directed us at the June 17th meeting. But the job descriptions are here for the board's consideration and approval.
Okay. Need a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, before, related to the job description for the emergency management coordinator.
Right.
I think we all agree how critical it is for us to move forward with this hire. And the position description that's in our board package very accurately reflects the job duties associated with the role as we have envisioned it. One that's geared toward overall emergency management for the county. But earlier this week, we were presented with the Virginia Fire Services report that included a recommendation for a coordinator position that would be geared more toward interaction with the county's emergency service providers. Now that we're in possession of that new information, I'm wondering if we should step back until we've had the opportunity for an in-depth discussion about the fire services report, and plus we are scheduled to have a review of the after-action report on the ice storm, and then determine whether we should incorporate certain elements of the recommendations from that report into the job description for the position that we seek to fill.
Okay.
And I'm going to share with you some, with that consideration, some potential revised motions.
You just pass those down.
That's only concerning the emergency management coordinator position, correct?
Correct. I move that the Board of Supervisors of Nottaway County approve the proposed position descriptions for a full-time planning, economic development director, and financial assistant as presented in the July 15, 2021 board packet, and begin the recruitment process for the positions immediately. And that the board defer action on approving the proposed position for a full-time emergency management coordinator until the board receives a presentation of the after-action report on the February ice storm scheduled for July 21, and has an opportunity to meet in work session to discuss staffing needs identified in both the fire and EMS study and the after-action report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the proposed position description of a full-time Planning and Economic Development Director Financial Assistance as presented in the July the 15th, 25 board package. Question? Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Appointments.
Yes, sir. Included in the board packet are the terms of 2 members of the Planning Commission, 4 members of the Industrial Development Authority, whose terms have expired or will expire in August or have resigned. I want the board to understand that as we work through this process with the board members of identifying candidates for the positions, that I found that there typically is you are elected on a district basis. And typically districts are evenly represented. And we went through a series of, we found that on the BZA we have no representative for District 2, but we have two for District 3. We found that on the Planning Commission we had 3 representatives from District 1, 2 representatives from District 2, 3, and 5, 3 representatives from District 4. And on the Industrial Development Authority, we had District 2 vacant through a resignation, 2 representatives from District 1, 1 from 3, 1 from 4, 2 from 5. And I know it's been difficult for the board to get your arms around where folks are being appointed from, and also I know it's been difficult in some cases to find candidates who want to serve. I was wondering, you know, as you deal with these appointments this evening, or maybe more in the future, would the board be interested in developing a more uniform process for seeking candidates? And as we update our website, place an application on there for folks who may have an interest in serving the county so that the board can get uniform information, review it, and then maybe interview the candidates before you even make the appointment. And that's done in many counties, and it leads to a process which is more helpful to board members and the candidates as well.
Okay. What's your pleasure in terms of appointments? The hold off until?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I agree with Mr. Anzavino. He and I had a conversation at length, and what it appears is that, and this is not a knock on anybody who's ever served on any of the boards, it appears that, let's take the IDA for example, Industrial Development Authority. They've never been given authority. They've always been told what to do, when to do it, here, meet for this. The website says that they meet 6 times a year. We're talking about probably one of the most important boards that this county should be represented on. And I absolutely agree with Mr. Anzavino. I think we need to possibly step back and take a look and get if it means redoing the charter, if it means us putting our heads together. I mean, this board seems to be coming together, and I think we can find a more positive way of identifying who is going to actually get in there and be proactive moving forward with now that the foot's been taken off the throat. So, and overall, just what's going to be best for the county and representative citizens. So yes, I'm fine with taking a step back and looking at this and redoing it.
I would agree. I wonder if it would be beneficial for us to consider at some point a workshop to discuss economic development and specifically the role of the IDA going forward. I noticed on our website, it says the Industrial Development Authority seeks to foster industrial growth and job creation in Nottaway County. It has the ability to finance economic development projects and works with the Economic Development Committee to accomplish its mission. From what I can gather, I think they functioned in a very limited role and at the direction of the prior, just as needed at the direction of the prior county administrator. So I thought maybe it would be worth our while to review the bylaws, consider Ms. Vanzavino's recommendation about our approach to appointing members, create a clear mission, and just try to refocus and re-energize the authority.
We'll schedule a workshop for that.
I would think that would be the best thing, schedule a workshop, because Mr. Bowen's not here tonight either.
Right. Okay, appointment to the Nottaway Library Board.
I do have an appointment,
Okay, you have that one.
yes. I would like to appoint Mr. Jasper Chafin, 1481 Rocky Ford Road, Crewe, Virginia, to the Library Board.
Let me see the name.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we appoint Mr. Jasper Chafin
Chafin.
to the Library Board. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, one note, on the Planning Commission, you do have two representatives that are eligible for reappointment, Mr. Gunn and Mr. Leslie. Mr. Leslie is from Mr. Bowen's district,
That's
I
right.
believe. Mr. Gunn is from District 5.
Yeah.
Their terms expire in mid-August, and the Planning Commission is going to be embarking on the comprehensive plan work as well as on solar work here in the near future, so I don't know if the board wants to consider those appointments.
One is from your district, Lynn. Bill Gunn.
Yes, I have not spoken to Mr. Gunn.
Okay.
Should I speak to him before making a recommendation?
Yes, yes, sir, I would.
I do know that Supervisor Bowen is requesting that Jack Leslie be reappointed to the Planning Commission, and I'd like to motion on Mr. Bowen's behalf for the reappointment of Mr. Leslie to the Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that Mr. Jack Leslie be appointed to the Planning Council. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes. Mr. Leslie represents Mr. Bowen's district.
And I'll reach out to Mr. Gunn.
We got Mr. Gunn, okay. Okay, the appointment to the Commonwealth Regional Council.
Mr. Chairman, didn't you say you'd like to go?
Yes.
All right, well, I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Sherman Vaughn be appointed as the alternate to the Commonwealth Regional Council to represent Nottaway County.
Second.
Will you carry that motion? Because it involves me.
Second?
Second.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
So you need to do the motion because it involves him.
carry the motion.
He's been appointed.
Oh, yeah, I'm sitting there, okay. We're learning today.
So I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Sherman Vaughn be appointed as alternate to the Commonwealth Regional Council.
Just call for vote.
Oh,
Yeah, I made the motion, she seconded.
okay, so I call for a vote.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Those, question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed? I'm not. Okay. Thank you very much. I started out on the council, the Piedmont Planning District Commission. That's been many, many, many years ago, representing the town of Blackstone. So, but thank you very much for your confidence. New business. Did you want to go?
Ms. Tomer is going to address the issues on obligated committed funds for carryover as well as carryover requests from the school board.
So the committed and obligated funds standard procedure, you all approved that essentially when you appropriated the budget last month, but it's for you all to see exactly what it is that you approved. Committed funds from purchase orders in totaling $1,589,741.94, as well as committed funds to be carried over in the amount of $2,122,655.70.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved. Move to approve the committed funds for carryover for fiscal year '22.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the carryover funds for the schools. Question.
For the county. For the county.
I mean, for the county. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
As far as the schools request, I'm not sure action-wise how you want to handle that. During budget meetings, you all agreed essentially to allow them to carry over an amount for capital improvements, as well as the personnel position. The returning of the funds to the general fund, that's wonderful. But I don't know how you want to handle that. I don't know if you want to just make a motion and approve it if you agree with it. I don't know if you have an issue with the dollar amount, but this is the figures that we used to close the fiscal year out.
And this is the schools,
Yes, it is a request from the school.
right? Get a motion to approve.
80,000 to hold for one teacher.
I see your wheels spinning too.
Need a motion to approve or disapprove.
Mr. Chairman, if I could be so bold. Lord, I'm probably going to get executed for this one. I think it's time we step back and take a serious look at the flow of money to the school. And maybe even have the opportunity to better understand what we have in front of us and where we should allocate those funds.
They're asking to carry it over. No.
The 500,000 they're asking to place in their budget in a capital improvements fund. And the 80,000 they're asking to carry over for said position.
Okay, I just got the last part of it, okay. Okay.
They're asking to carry it over, but for specific reasons in a capital improvements fund.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask for clarification? Katie, if we approve those requests, am I understanding correctly that the school will return to Nottaway County General Fund approximately $341,820?
And if I might ask, Katie, what's been the history of returns to the general fund from the school board?
Very few.
Okay.
Okay, what do we want to do with it?
But the $500,000 for capital improvement, what, this is newly established? The newly established capital improvement line?
Well, yes, and the request is something that they never asked for in this manner before. But it is what they presented to you all.
All right, I'm not going to renege on my word then. At this point, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the carryover the request of the school board as presented by the Assistant County Administrator, Katie Toma.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the carryover request. Question?
For clarification, yes, sir. As I understood from conversation with school board personnel, that this was a changing tide, and as I understand it, to be a continuing process in the future. So that's why I'd move to approve and give them the chance to live up to that.
I have problems.
Any other concern?
Yeah, I have that 500,000 newly established capital improvement line.
What's your question? Okay, I'm gonna run the motion.
Go run.
Okay. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
I oppose.
Okay, 4-1.
3-1.
3-1. I forgot that. Okay.
I share your
Resolution,
concerns.
retroactive, waiving solid waste fees. Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
At the board's June 17th meeting, there was a concern expressed by a citizen about the way landfill fees were handled during the ice storm disaster, February 2021. And that the board had not approved retroactively the waiver of any fees. Now, I did a little research on the overall process that goes into declaration of an emergency and what that frees up as far as decision-making goes for a county government or a city government. I've included in your packet State Code Section 44-1-146.21, which allows for certain actions to be taken by a governing body when a local declaration is declared, which a local declaration was declared. I've included the local declaration of emergency indicating that the resolution was approved at a meeting of the Board of Supervisors on February 13th, 2021, that resolution on the declaration. And that and then we've included a brief staff report, which is the color-coded staff report outlining the decision points concerning the temporary waiver of fees. I'd note that when a local or state declaration occurs in a locality, it triggers opportunities to take actions which you normally can't take. And it's in reaction to dealing with the situation at hand. And it allows you to avoid or bypass state code or local ordinances. In the case of the February 21st ice storm, the governor declared an emergency on February 11th, which triggered the state, and then the county followed on February 13th. In reviewing the state code section, paragraph C of 44-1-146.21 provides an outline of actions which can be taken by local governments with a declaration by the governor and by the local government, which authorizes actions by the local government to proceed without regard to time-consuming procedures and formalities prescribed by law pertaining to public work, entering into contracts, incurring obligations, employment of temporary workers, rental of equipment, purchase of supplies and material, levying of taxes and appropriation and expenditure of public funds. Further, the county resolution declares that an intent of the local declaration was to alleviate any conditions resulting from the situation and to return impacted areas to pre-event conditions as much as possible. In temporarily waiving the fees at the landfill, you were making an attempt to do that. First of all, you need to remember that the landfill scales were down. And if you close the landfill, anybody coming in with any waste or any brush, well, they had no place to put it. They would have maybe dumped it at the gate. Secondly, you need to recall that you're trying to alleviate you're trying to help solve a very difficult problem for folks. Folks were going to be out of work. You know, some folks I heard were out of power for over 2 weeks. And so they may have no income, but they had waste and brush to bring to the landfill. So the board made a decision in conjunction with the declaration of an emergency. And they know that the waste needed to go somewhere, and the folks probably could not afford to pay it. The report, which was prepared by our staff, indicates that the total amount was $10,271.54 for the period of February 20th, 21 to March 1st during the declared emergency beginning on February 13th. That's when you began to accept or to waive the fees on February 20th. And that is included in the package. It's broken down into both commercial as well as residential, with about 2/3 of the visitors to the landfill being the residents of the county. So we have included a motion in your packet to either approve the waiver of landfill tipping fees retroactively in the amount of $10,271.54 for that period, or to create your own motion. And we would recommend that you retroactively approve the waiver of landfill tipping fees, recognizing that the board did nothing illegal or improper. You were trying to solve a problem for the citizens of the county.
Yeah, I need a motion to ratify.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the waiver of landfill tipping fees in the amount of $10,271.54 for the period of February 20th, 2021 to March 1, 2021 during the declared emergency beginning on February 13, 2021.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we approve the ratification of the fees that we waived at the landfill amount to $10,271.54. Question.
Yes, sir. Does the words retroactive need to be in this motion?
It doesn't have to be.
If you want to add,
That's what it means. So,
if you want to add it, you feel more comfortable with it, you can amend the motion.
okay. I'll leave out ratified and just go with her motion.
It specifies the period
Period
of
of
time.
time.
Specify the period of time, okay.
I just wanted to clarify whether or not we needed that word in there, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's basically what it means.
Yes, sir.
Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Okay. Presentation, Ms. Presley, will you give your presentation, please?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just introduce Ms.
Okay.
Presley. I think you all know her as our Human Resources Coordinator as of July 1st. And I will say that Logan has led this process through the selection, through the advertising, review and selection of the employee benefit consultant, and has led the process of working with them as they went out in a very short time frame to solicit bids for health insurance and to redefine the benefits program for the county and the county's employees. She's done a tremendous job. I've commended her in the office, but I think she should be commended publicly as well, as should all of the office staff that we work with. Tonight we have a representative from the Pierce Group, which the board had approved as the employee benefits consultant. Logan is going to introduce that, and then she wants to talk to you about a further redesign of the contribution process that the county has had for a number of years in conjunction with health insurance, and how we have developed a new plan that more positively affects some of the employees who are least able to pay for the upper tier levels of insurance for families. So, not to steal any of your thunder, Logan.
Good evening, Board, and Mr. Anzavino.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am pleased to provide a report this evening on Nottaway County's current renewal insurance rates and a new proposed employer contribution tier system for each of the insurance plan categories. Nottaway County currently has 5 employee tiers for the county's health insurance plan that a full-time employee can elect to enroll in. These include employee only, employee and spouse, employee and child, employee and children, or a family plan. Before we discuss the proposed tier plan of contributions for employees, we would like to introduce the board to Dee Byers from Pierce Group, the county's recently selected benefits consultant, to discuss their efforts on the county's behalf to maintain an affordable health insurance and benefits program for the county's employees in a changing market. The Pierce Group will explain the design of the program, the market they sought proposals from, and the results of their efforts. Staff will follow up with recommendations for the board's consideration in regard to the choice of a health insurer structure of the benefits program and the new tiered contribution structure which has been developed.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Members of the board. Mr. Anzavino, thank you. My name is Dee Byers. I work with Pierce Group Benefits. I am a benefits consultant. My job basically is to look at the benefits that Nottaway County government currently have and then look at how it relates into the marketplace. First of all, I want to amplify what Ms. Anzavino said about the staff. They have been really great to work with, very responsive. And so what I'm going to do today is talk a little bit about that process and how we end up where we are with the rates that we currently are proposing. Right now, just for a brief history, Pierce Group Benefit was awarded the contract to be a partnership with Nottaway County government in June. As Mr. Anzavino said, you know, normally we get a couple of months to do this process, so we had a really quick turnaround. I think it was a record-breaking turnaround that we've ever done, so we're very proud of that process and were able to get it, but we would not have been able to complete it without the support and the partnership of the staff, so I want to say thank you for that. We looked at the healthcare plans as well as the dental and the vision. So what we realized is that you do offer 2 healthcare plans, but only one plan is actually really used. There were not many participants on the other plan, so that's the one that we really focused on. We also understand that your plans are fully insured. And basically what that means is in the healthcare industry world, we have two ways of funding insurance. One is fully insured, another one is self-funded or ASO, Administrative Services Only. Nottoway County is under a fully insured plan support system for financially supporting the plan. And what that means is that if Nottoway County spends more money in healthcare claims than they actually take from employees' premium and what you contribute through the general fund, then that claim will not have to be paid out. You don't have to take on the risk. So fully insured eliminates the risk of having insurance. If you're self-funded and you only take out, say for instance, $10,000 for the month, but people spend $30,000, then you're gonna be responsible for that additional $30,000. And what fully insured makes sure is that you don't have to take on that risk. So we do think that you're in the appropriate funding arrangement for fully insured with the amount of claims that you have and the amount of individuals you have on the plan. We also looked at that for dental and vision. And when we looked at the history of the plan and where it performed, in the marketplace in medical insurance now, we are seeing an average increase of anywhere from 5 to 8%. And that's really on the low end. I have seen insurance renewals come in at 10 to 15%. Nottoway County government renewal came in at 2%. So when I look at the marketplace and where Nottoway County government came in, you did an amazing job. I don't know if people, got healthy or they decided to, walk a little bit more or not go to fast food as much, but they did a tremendous job on trying to keep those rates down, and you can see that reflected in the renewal with the 2% increase on the renewal. So we did shop the market because that's another one of our jobs, is to make sure that, compared to whatever's out there, that you do have you do get the biggest bang for your buck. We went to Aetna and Cigna. Your renewal was so good, they declined to quote. So they could not even beat it. So they were like, you know what, we're not dealing with it. We can't beat it. If they got it, tell them just to take it, right? So, but we did go out to the marketplace to see if we could find a better rate than the 2%. We did receive a quote from Optima. We did consider that quote from Optima. The only thing with Optima is that your current plan with Anthem includes your vision benefits. And it includes, and you have access to the dental. If you were to go with Optima, we would have to carve out to dental and the vision, which would require more cost for the employee. And we didn't want to do that. So we did, like I said, we did look at it, and we have the information if you want to review it. But we did realize that if we break that out, it would end up costing employees a little bit more. Also, administratively, you're going to look at having multiple ID cards and multiple carriers to deal with. We do realize that the structure, because another thing we look at is the structure of administration and what that costs and the challenges may be with that. And so when we looked at breaking out the medical from the dental from the vision, you're going to have like 3 different ID cards. Members may get confused about which carrier to use. And because we're on such a tight turnaround, we didn't feel like the education, we could educate employees quick enough to understand the differences in breaking those plans out versus having them all under one carrier like you do now. So we think that that was a great idea. We did receive, challenges with the network and the provider network, so we look at that as well. So when you have people in a certain area, if you change carriers, we want to make sure that they have access to the providers that they're already comfortable with. We also look at pharmacy. Are they going to be able to have to change their drugs or change the pharmacy? So those are all things that we try to take into effect when we study the marketplace to find out what's going on. So as you can see, we did all this in a really short amount of time to make sure that we give you a comprehensive overview and the history of the plan of what Pierce Group has to offer. So if you have, I think you have a copy of the health renewal options. So what we did was we looked at the Anthem plan and highlighted the changes of those plans. So you see there's minimum changes in the plans from what you currently have to the renewal option. With Anthem renewal, like I said, it was a 2% increase for a total of $467,159.88. On average, the employees will see a 6.1% decrease. And you say, well, how did we get a 2% increase in the renewal, but the employees see a 6% decrease? Well, if you would look, you have the majority of your employees are in the employee-only tier. And when you have the employee-only tier, that had a decrease from $33.25 to $23.42, which this also may change based on the information that Logan stated that she will talk about later about the tier change. But when we look at everything, we looked at what you had already approved and the time frame that we were allowed it, and those are the numbers we used. So you'll see that they went from the employer, which is Nottoway County, paying $516.67 to including that to the $537.50 for what would be in the renewal. And then you look at the bottom, you see the total annual premium for the employee was originally, currently you're contributing $92,196.96. That would actually go down to $86,609.88. And one of the reasons that decreases is because the majority of your employees are in that employee-only tier, and that tier has a decrease, where you don't have as many people in the other tiers. You'll see the employer premium did increase because you did increase the employer contribution. And then the annual premium for the plan, like I said, it went from $457,999.32 to $467,159.88 for a total of a 2% increase on the medical plan. So those are the things that we do to try to be transparent, to show you how did we come up with the numbers, what the contribution levels will be. Again, since you are with Anthem, and I think Logan did an amazing job and going to suggest some other things to kind of help out on the family tier. Unfortunately, when we looked at the family tier and what the renewal presented, we weren't able to do much with the family tier because you had already approved the $537.50 per tier. So I think there's been some changes that she may come up and say about later, and then of course we can take that into consideration and redo the contribution to make sure it coincides with what you would vote on or what you would approve today. So with that, that is the medical piece. The dental, we did the same thing. We looked at what you currently have versus what's in the marketplace. We did shop it. Anthem came in at a 3% renewal. When we went to Delta Dental, which is another popular carrier, they came in at a 35% increase. Yes. The same reaction that I had. So 3%, employees are already familiar with what they currently have. This is what they do. Normally, like I said, if we have more time and next year, we definitely can look at some different plan designs, or we can look at some different carriers, but this is what had come in before. Sun Life, again, they declined the quote. They said 3% increase. Then, you know, we have it, and they couldn't beat the 3%, so they decided that they wouldn't quote at all. With the vision, there was a rate hold, so I'm always excited about a rate hold, so there are no changes in the vision benefits. We did shop the market anyway, because if we could get something cheaper, we definitely want to look at that. Superior came in at a 10% increase. We did have an alternative offer from Superior. It came in at a 19% increase, and then we did do iMed as well, which is another popular carrier, and they came in at 16% average on the increase. So we do look at the total benefit package and to say, you know, what looks good, what we think would be better for employees, and what is your organization structure and how they can handle change in benefits. So with that, I'll move on to talk about some things that are some benefits that we saw that they're prevalent in the marketplace, but they're not here in Nottoway County. So do you want me to stop Anzavino right there and see if there's any questions, or we want to keep going? Okay. So does anybody have any questions before I move on to the new opportunities?
No.
We good?
That's good.
Okay, awesome. When you're still awake and I'm talking about insurance, I think I'm okay.
You're good. You're doing a fantastic job. You're doing a
All right.
fantastic job.
I
Thank
feel
you.
like insurance is kind of like a necessary evil we hear, but we try to do our best to help out. One of the things we did notice with Nottoway County government is that you did such a great job with your core benefits, with your medical, your dental, and vision, which is something that everybody offers. But we also noticed there are some benefits that are missing, and there are new opportunities like FSA, flexible spending account. So I'm not sure how many people have heard of flexible spending accounts before, but they are a really good benefit to offer employees. We were able to get some carriers to quote the flexible spending account benefit. The really good thing about the flexible account benefit that we were able to do with the FSA is that you only pay for the employees that actually participate, which is great. Normally there's a minimum participation. We also know when you introduce something new, employees are a little bit slow to kind of, take to it, so we understand that, but we also wanted to make sure that you knew it was available. So with the flexible spending account, What that benefit is, it definitely helps employees who have known medical expenses. So if you have an employee that knows they're gonna get glasses, they know they're gonna have a root canal, they know that their child is gonna need braces, or they're on a prescription medication like a cholesterol medication, something that they take every time and they already know the expense, we recommend that they have a flexible spending account. The reason being is that is a tax-free savings. So they can actually take that money that they would use for the glasses. So say, for instance, you're gonna get a pair of glasses, I'll say let's go cheaper, $300, right? And everybody know you can't really get glasses for $300 with all the bells and whistles. But if you knew you're gonna get a pair of glasses for $300, they actually can take that amount and put it into a flexible spending account, and that money will come out of their paycheck tax-free. So it's a pre-tax benefit. Once they elect that $300, they will actually have access to that money on the first day of the plan. So if they wanted to get those glasses on September 1st, they can actually use their card, swipe it, get their glasses on the 1st of the month. Now, what will happen is throughout the year, we will divide those that $300 payment up and take it out of their paycheck pre-tax. So they don't pay taxes on it. And when they spend it, they don't spend taxes on the glasses as well because you spend it tax-free. This actually helps employees a lot. It lowers their taxable income, so they don't pay as many taxes, and then they still get to use the money. So we found out it is kind of scary at first. People kind of like, I don't know about taking money out of my check. I need all my money, right? But once somebody uses it and people kind of get word of mouth, then they start to trust it, and we found out it's been a great benefit. For the county, they also get to save money on the taxable employer income. So because that income level is brought down, you don't pay taxes on paying the employee that money because it's also taken out pre-tax. So we found a flexible spending account is really good. The other thing is we want to make sure we educate employees, because if they do not use their money by the end of the year, they lose it. Right? And so we want to make sure that employees don't put in more money that they need, that they only put in the money that they know they're going to spend. And we actually have benefit counselors that will come out during open enrollment and have one-on-one sessions with each employee to make sure they're explaining it and they understand that when they sign up for it, they know what they're getting. We think this is a great benefit. Again, we were able to get them without a minimum, so only the employees sign up for it. You would only pay for those employees. It's $3 per employee per month to have that benefit. And again, it's just something that's already in the marketplace, but I noticed that it was not here in Nottoway County government. So that's one of the opportunities we saw. Another opportunity we had was COBRA. As you know, the federal government changes things every day. So every day I wake up, I get an email alert from Washington about something they're doing with COBRA or something they're doing with benefits. We noticed that you didn't have a COBRA, we had a COBRA administrator, but we couldn't verify if it was in compliance with COBRA rules and regulations. So what we did was went to go find a COBRA administrator. Will that ensure that Nottoway County government is in compliance with COBRA rules and regulations? As you know, if you forget a COBRA letter or you don't get it out in the right amount of time, you could be fined by the federal government, and those fines can get very, very costly just for a simple overstay or overlook of a person that terminated employment. So we did find a couple of vendors that were able to provide COBRA administration that we think would be very beneficial and is very cost effective. It was 50 cents per employee per month. We average it out to about 62 eligible employees, which would be $372 annually. I think that's a small amount to pay to make sure that you're in compliance and you don't have anybody coming back and saying, oh, you missed this, or you have a fine. And then they will give you a report of those individuals that elect COBRA, so we'll make sure that we're always in compliant, right? The other one that we found out that a lot of people have in the marketplace is called EAP, which is called the Employee Assistance Program. Now, with things going on like COVID, coronavirus, stress, job, people being laid off from work, we saw a huge uptick in people getting mental health and behavioral health visits at, hospitals, doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists. Some people don't want to go, right, because it's a stigma around mental health. We figured this EAP program would help remove some of that. Some people are embarrassed. This is a confidential program. They don't have to go through HR. They don't have to go through administration. They don't have to even go to their primary care physician. They actually can call the provider directly and make an appointment. They can talk about job stress. They can talk about children, elder care, financial assistance, will preparedness, identity theft. I know that you guys had a weather-related incident earlier this year with ice storms, and a lot of people was getting a little bit interesting, a little tense about the power being out and trying to come to work and all that good stuff. They could have called EAP and talked to a licensed therapist, counselor, psychiatrist, or a psychologist at no cost. They get up to 3 visits per incident. It's for employees and their dependents who were ever on the plan, and that will kind of help. I know one of the biggest things that we've saw is that when employees have issues at work and they have an issue with a supervisor or a coworker, they may not feel comfortable going to HR just yet, right? So they will call EAP to kind of talk it out to see, you know, what their options are, and that kind of give them that confidentiality that they can be able to talk to someone. With EAP, again, they don't have to tell their supervisor they're going. It's just like a doctor's appointment, and we can make sure that we educate employees about that and kind of help relieve some of that stress. A lot of the healthcare issues that we see from mental health is that people will get stressed and all of a sudden they develop high blood pressure or they develop cholesterol because your mental health is a lot of times tied to other health issues that doesn't really have anything about the way you eat or the way you live. So we think EAP would be a great benefit to add to have access for those employees that may be experiencing something but may not feel comfortable with talking to somebody that they work with. And we did find a couple of different options. The total cost for that was 38 cents per employee per month with the actual average of 62 eligible employees for an annual total of $282.72, which I think, again, is a very small amount of money to just provide the service for employees to have access to a person they can talk to in confidence. So that is the end of my report. So I will stop there and see if I have any questions from the board.
Lynn?
No, sir.
Wonderful. So I can sum it up. You know, people say they want to address the elephant in the room. I want to address the fly in the room. Can we get a fly swatter, please? But,
I thought you brought the fly.
you know, I'm the critter getter, not the critter bringer.
I figured if the vice president could deal with it, I'll be okay.
But, you know, I do want to say, you know, the due diligence that y'all brought, and I mean, 30% increase in dental from one company. I mean, that's kind of like saying you need Iranian ski goggles. I mean, come on. But the only other thing I'll say, I have no questions, Mr. Chairman. I do want to reiterate something that Mr. Anzavino and you have said about the staff, how wonderful they've been, and they just continue to shine. Mm-hmm. And one thing in particular was Andrea Kelly gave me a phone call the day before the deadline. Now, I'm going to pat her on the back because it's deserving, and you guys as well, because you're talking about fast and effective. You guys had not got notice.
Yes.
And when Ms. Kelly called me, I called Sarah.
Uh-huh.
And I think in less than 12 hours, roughly, y'all had this thing put together.
Yes.
And impressed us all.
No, nothing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I make one comment before
Go right
the
on.
board takes any action? Both the EAP program and the FSA program, those are very inexpensive programs with a lot of benefit to the employees. And are programs that when I was in local government 35 years ago, we had in place. And they have not been in Nottoway County and are tremendously beneficial. And they build over time. The participation builds over time. As Dee said, you know, there's a little skepticism among employees initially, but over time they participate, and we see more and more folks taking advantage, particularly on the employee assistance program, on counseling. And we saw employees who were doing financial consulting, a lot of mental health consulting, and particularly when they had family problems. And it was really beneficial to the organization. It made it a more healthy organization.
And I'd also like to mention, I think I missed this, is that they also do sessions on leadership. So if you have like management that may, you know, need some assistance in critical conversations or, you know, need help talking to employees that's going through grief, they actually will do group sessions for the leadership as well.
I can use some of that. I'm a little harsh sometimes. What are you laughing
You
about?
want Logan's presentation now?
Why don't you do it now?
Do it now?
Yeah.
Okay, Logan, will you do your presentation, and then we'll make, I guess, the motions for this.
In this insurance program and employee contribution structure, staff has completed considerable research among the county's peer groups of localities, as well as gathering information over the years concerning county employee participation in and comments about the county's current contribution system. In considering revisions to the county's contribution rates for health insurance, Attachment G, it compares Nottoway's health insurance plan to surrounding counties' insurance plans such as Dinwiddie, Lunenburg, Prince Edward, and Amelia. Overall, Nottoway County has lower total premiums for different insurance plans, but the county's deductibles are the highest, ranging from about $1,000, $1,500 to $2,200 difference for individuals, and $3,000 to $4,400 difference for family coverages. Also, looking at Attachment G, you will note that surrounding counties offer a tiered system for their employer contributions for each plan, and their employer contributions are higher than Nottoway County's. During open enrollments in the past, employees' main concerns / dislikes about Nottoway County's insurance are that the family insurance coverage cost is too high for an employee to afford. An example of Nottoway County's median pay for residents, according to published data, is about $40,000 annually. An employee who makes $40,000 annually grosses about $3,333.33 per month, in which you would have a required retirement percentage of 5% for mandatory VRS participation, 7.65% for FICA and Medicare, and $1,000, $192.93 for family coverage health insurance. As evident in the table below, that would leave the employee with spendable income of $1,717.74 per month. In addition, an employee who makes $40,000 a year who has to pick up new insurance within the month due to unforeseen circumstances would have to pay $2,385.86 for the first month, since the county's insurance plans are paid in a month in advance, which would leave that employee with only $524.81. I'm sorry, there was a correction there. For the entire month. So that's not really leaving them a lot of wiggle room for their leftover expenses. To assist in lessening the impact, staff had asked the county's current benefit consultants to look into the possibility of decreasing the chance of an employee having to pay double the premium in a month by seeing if the insurance program could be paid in their arrears, which means an employee would pay the premium for the month that he or she is in instead of a month in advance. But that is not possible at this time. We believe this leaves the county with the need to take a different approach in trying to decrease employee family monthly insurance rates and to point the county in the right direction of offering a more competitive employee health benefit program. To address this issue, staff was challenged by the interim county administrator, Mr. John Anzavino, to come up with a tiered system that would bring the family coverage rate for the employee under $1,000 per month, and to have a starting point of $10,000 additional money contributed by the employer to offset the difference in premiums. Looking at Attachment H, page 1, you will note at the very top of the spreadsheet the current renewal budget cost based on the current employee participation and renewal health premium rates, which is a total of $380,550. Additional required funds, if approved, would be drawn from the cost savings for property insurance, which the board approved at your June 17, 2021 meeting. While some of this will offset additional dispatch salaries, approximately $30,000 remains unobligated. Recognizing that the county's peer group offers tiered contributions for employees, see Attachment H, we have outlined various proposals of tier increased employer contributions to better assist the employees in affording health care coverage, and a starting point for Nottoway to offer a more competitive health benefit program. Staff developed 3 different methods in trying to find the best tiered system that met the stated objectives of getting the family plan employee rate under $1,000 with only a $10,000 increase in budget costs. The different methods developed included a percentage, a fixed rate, or finding an employee premium savings for each category while staying at or around a $10,000 in additional increase in budget costs. The first two proposals, Proposal 1 and 2, are based on a tiered percentage employer contribution rate. The next three proposals, Proposals 3, 4, and 5, are based on a tiered fixed rate, and the last three proposals, Proposals 6, 7, and 8, are based on finding an affordable employee monthly rate that meets Nottoway County's objectives while providing a more competitive health benefit program to employees. Staff recognizes that presenting these findings are at the beginning of a new fiscal year and should have been evaluated during the recent budget process, and these types of discussions and analysis will take place much earlier in the budget preparation process. However, with the time crunch of selecting a new benefits consultant and obtaining new renewal rates for the year, all within a 3-month period, staff fell behind. However, by considering and approving the new tiered schedule, the county will have a starting point of trying to find the best system to help its employees to save money and gain better and more competitive health benefits. After analyzing the different proposed tier systems, staff believes that conducting future data analysis of what the county's employees need during the next year's budget planning process, the county's best option would be to consider adopting option 6 for fiscal year 2023, in which meets the objectives of getting employee paid family rates under $1,000 was met, and only a $1,970 of increased additional budget impact, falling slightly above the $10,000 of additional expenditures set as a target. In further analyzing existing data, staff also notes that projections are based upon current plan participation, and at this time, we lack data on how many staff may enter the family program and what the impact on the county may be if a large number switch to the family plan. That is why staff is recommending the county to adopt option 8 for fiscal year 2022. Option H, which includes which includes a small cushion of funding for potential additions to the family plan and best meets the county's objectives in getting the employees' family premiums under $1,000, requires $9,330 of additional funds added to the original budget cost. Option H, 8, is also a more secure starting point for Nottoway County to adopt a tier system that can begin making the employee health benefit programs more competitive, and is a better step towards gathering statistical data to better understand the need for family plans within Nottoway County's employees and how Nottoway County can prepare for future insurance renewals. Below, we have provided a few motions to adopt what Ms. Byers and Pierce Group made for our health, dental, and vision programs, or a rejection, or your motion to create. Also, we have a motion to either approve, reject, or create to approve the 2 new employer-sponsored health programs, which is the flexible spending counts and the EAP, which is the employee assistance programs. The third motions that we have provided is a motion to approve, reject, or one that you would like to create to approve option H, which reconfigures the county's employer's contribution.
Okay, we have 3 motions.
Yes, sir.
And
Can I make one comment?
yes,
Logan touched on this, but this is the beginning of the analysis for the future. If you adopt the tiered system, we didn't go big, the biggest option, because we're uncertain as to, by increasing the county's contribution for the family premium and lowering the cost of the family, how many folks might sign up? We just don't have that data. So we decided to go a little bit more conservative and evaluate it during the year. Now, this all should have taken place. Your budget process probably should begin in September, October of the coming year, and I think your new administrator shares that feeling. Budgeting is now a full-time, year-round job in most local governments because of the costs and the changes that are occurring. So you should be considering this during that period of time, but we were uncertain as to how this would really impact the county. So we went a little bit smaller on the impact on, with the impact on the tiered system.
Mr. Chairman, if you're
I
ready.
have three motions,
Yes, sir.
and I have 3 people.
Okay.
I don't have it.
I got it.
It's not in my packet.
It's not in your packet.
No, it's not.
It's in the email.
Do you want to
I'll let
borrow
you,
mine?
you can use this one right here.
I need to, I've got 3 motions on the floor.
Okay, go
John,
on.
would you do the first one?
Yes, sir. I move for the Board of Supervisors to approve renewing Nottaway County's health, dental, and vision benefits with Anthem based upon the Pierce Group's recommendation.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve renewing Nottaway County's health, dental, and vision benefits with the Anthem-based Pierce Group presentation. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Now we have the second motion.
The tiered payment,
Yeah.
Either, no, right here.
this one. Proposed additional benefit motion. Motion to approve, I move that the Board of Supervisors approve adding 2 new employer-sponsored health benefits as described by the Pierce Group and recommended by staff, which included the flexible spending account policy through FlexFax and the Employee Assistance Program through Anthem.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the adding 2 new employer-sponsored health benefits as described by the Pierce Group and recommended by staff, which includes the flexible spending account policy through FlexFax and the Employers Assistance Program through Anthem. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. And then will you do the next one for us, please?
Motion to approve, I move that the Board of Supervisors adopt option 8 as presented by staff, which reconfigures the county's employer contributions in a tiered system that would result in a proposed increase of $9,330 annually to the current insurance renewal budget based on current enrollment data.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt the option 8 as presented by the staff, which reconfigure the county's employer contribution in a tiered system that will result in a proposed increase of $9,330 annually to the current insurance renewal budget based on current enrollment data. It's been moved and seconded. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Logan, thanks so much. You've done a beautiful job.
Thank you.
Dee, you did a good job as well. Thank you.
Did I
Okay,
say
now
you
we
guys
have the
were almost-
consent calendar. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved.
We have an amendment to that.
Oh,
Oh, you do?
Go ahead.
Go,
Katie, I'm going to go with the consent calendar, then we'll come back to you, okay?
do you need to do that?
No,
Okay, all right.
Okay, second?
yes, sir.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent calendar. Question? Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, correspondence.
The board has letters from the Virginia Association of Counties considering the use of fiscal recovery funds and notice of resignation of Nottaway Extension Agent Haley Norton as 2 of your correspondence items, and then some reports from various agencies. I would also call your attention to the fiscal 21 Treasurer's Sales Tax Report, which we conducted a little analysis on.
Right.
And the county has actually exceeded estimates over previous fiscal years for sales tax, which is good news given the fact that we had a downturn in sales because of COVID.
Okay, I'd like to, at this time, ask the board to approve sending a letter to Haley. Haley has done a beautiful job for Nottaway County. She's our extension agent.
You need that in a motion, sir?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve the board to send a letter of commendation to Haley Norton for her service to Nottaway County.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we send a letter of commendation to Haley Norton. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. Mr. A, your update.
Yes, sir. You've received a memorandum, and I'll just touch on it very quickly. I've reminded the board of the comprehensive plan update, citizens community meeting next week. Broadband update, the board has scheduled a work session for next Wednesday after the receipt of the after action report to hear from River Street Networks to discuss their work in extending broadband services in rural Virginia and their thoughts on how best to leverage available state and federal funds to serve Nottaway County. This group functions much like an electric cooperative, and they have a great deal of data to present to you. They're well respected by the state, and with the American Recovery Funds that we have, we may be able to serve up to an additional 1,100 homes with broadband in Nottaway County, in the southwestern and northeastern section of the county. But I won't steal all their thunder, but they had a very good presentation. They're working with counties in Virginia from Danville and Pennsylvania on up to King and Queen, New Kent, all through the rural belt south of Richmond. Visited the Crew Library after our storm of last Thursday because there's a leak in the roof on the county side, so we'll be addressing that. And to bring the board up to date on what's happening here with courthouse repairs, we have our final fire alarm test next Tuesday, the 20th, with FireX and the state fire marshal, and all that work will be completed. We've got the Slate Repair Company coming back to repair and replace missing tiles, and that's also the company that solders our copper gutters, which we have several leaks in, which were marked during the storm last week when it was raining. We are also working on a number of other projects. We've got slate tile, which is on the steps, which is coming loose, and we're going to have that reset, and we're going to have it waterproof so that water can't get in there. And finally, the side porch of the administrator's office, that contract's been awarded, but we're waiting for some of the materials to come in before that's finished. We have completed work on the 2 storage buildings or maintenance buildings behind the administration office. That work has been done, it's been inspected, and it's been done well. I would note that the board had expressed an interest of asking Mr. Procyse to come back on a subcontract basis, and I had some work for him on working on the solar ordinance update as well as working on the comprehensive plan and as well as other planning issues. But he's enjoying retirement and has decided to step away. And
Smart man.
Yep. We have met on the new animal control facility. I'm still waiting to hear from the architect on a meeting to sketch out the strategy before we meet with the volunteer group, and we are making progress in regard to getting that project started. I would also note to the board on solid waste fees that we have had some confusion over what's accepted at times at convenience centers, so I met with the superintendent. We're developing a plan to train the employees and give them the information so that when we do have employees who are in transition and new employees coming in, that we're all on the same page of music, because we've had some confusion. We're also looking at the front of the landfill where we have folks having to drive across the scales who are depositing residential trash, about attempting to remedy that problem. And we're also looking at the billing at the landfill and how much it costs to issue a bill which is less than $5 versus what it would be to defer that. And we're also looking at the possibility of instituting some recycling at the landfill, particularly for metal goods with a bin. We're in the early stages of all this, but we're beginning to look at that, as well as making the entrance to the landfill a little bit more functional, because we're mixing a lot of truck traffic with smaller vehicles. And so we'll be reporting to you that, or your new administrator will be reporting to you on that in the near future. And then finally, the bowling alley lease, that is still in process. Ms. Tomer has checked with the lessee, and he has gone through, he's into his second attorney in reviewing the lease document. But since this is still county property, we're going to be taking some steps to make sure that the property is cared, the appearance of the property is cared for. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I have nothing to add, and be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden. Now we'll have comments from the members of the board. Lynn, we'll start with you.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, Mr. Bourne is not here. Mr. Rourke.
Only thing I'd like to say, Mr. Chairman, is to, like Mr. Anzavino said, the CRC meeting for the citizens next Tuesday night. Citizens, please come.
Okay. Ms. Simmons?
I don't have anything.
Okay. And I don't have anything. I do have a statement to make, though. In accordance with Section 2.2-3712, Paragraph B of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act pertaining to closed meetings, procedures, and certification of proceedings, the Nottoway County Board of Supervisors will hold closed meetings solely for the purpose of conducting interviews for the position of county administrator at an undisclosed location within 15 days of this evening's meeting. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Thank you.